Thanks for taking the time to join me on my channel, Nigel's view on things. How you doing? How you keeping? Hope everybody's safe and sound where you are. Unless you've been asleep under a rock, you would have realised that there seems to be a little bit of tension in the air between Russia, Ukraine, United States and the rest of the world. For me, things don't really add up. Things don't really make any sense at all. I'm looking at a mass distraction from the next main event that's unfolding right in front of our eyes. This orchestrated event that's going on, that's going to bring conflict, is to hide something else. Look round in the world, things are not quite as they seem. Let me explain what I'm trying to say. Throughout history, there has been many wars. There has not been a day of peace on this planet. Many wars for many different reasons, but the main reason is religion. You don't believe in our God? By the time we're finished with you, you certainly will. Many wars have been orchestrated, I believe, very recently. World War I, World War II, the Gulf War, and many others, to hide things for nefarious reasons. What is war actually good for? Absolutely making people extremely rich, and for other nefarious reasons. I'll leave that to your imagination. Right at this moment in time, we're at Defcon 3. I'll leave the links to this channel in the description box down below, nice and simple for everybody to find, especially if you're looking for up-to-date information to what's going on. The European Command at this moment is at Defcon 2. The last time we were at Defcon 3 was September the 11th, 2001. An orchestrated event that changed the world in many different ways. And the last time we were at Defcon 2 was January the 15th, 1991 for the Gulf War. Back in 2014, something happened that many people don't realise. In February and March of that year, Russia invaded and subsequently annexed the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine. This event took place in the aftermath of the Revolution of Dignity and is part of the wider Russo-Ukraine conflict. This military operation started on the 20th of February to the 28th of March 2014, 1 month and 6 days. But the whole world wasn't in on that at that moment of time. Many people don't even know that this actually happened. But we're standing upon a precipice of an orchestrated event that includes the whole world. There is a lie that's being told, and we're part of it. You can actually believe what the media is saying, their hype and their spiel that they're putting out. All the government shouting and screaming that this isn't right, but back in 2014, where was everybody when they first invaded Ukraine? Nowhere to be seen. So what you've got to do is ask yourself what's so different now. And while you've been paying attention to the circus show that's been unfolding in front of your faces for the past couple of months, let me show you what you may have missed. We're at John Boy's channel and I'll leave the links to this in the description box down below, nice and simple for everybody to find. If you do enjoy his work, please think about subscribing. A very important video taken on the 10th of December, a huge planetary object eclipsing the sun. Now, some of you may have actually seen this because Jeff P actually did cover this, but I'm going to show you the bits that Jeff, I do believe, missed. If you're a first time viewer of this video, don't blink because you might actually miss something. I'm going to slow it down and play it back for you for the bits that you will definitely miss. This actually goes a long way in proving that there's objects in our sky. Objects in our sky, you say, Nige? Don't be silly, our governments would have told us. Or maybe they would have made a mass distraction by creating a pandemic, or maybe a false conflict. Now that wouldn't be possible, would it? So let's have a look at the video and see what you have missed. Like I said, Jeff P's already covered this, and he says that this hole in this cloud is part of the sun simulator that's hiding the planet. A very, very strange hole. I think you may agree. And we can see the planet just in the background there. It's outlined with this black line, and an arrow suddenly appears, and we can see what looks like there's a massive big crater. And if we look up here, as it suddenly just disappears into the distance, we can see there's more craters on the surface of this object. Of course, yeah, it's just clouds. Nothing more, nothing less. What I'm going to do is slow this down just that little bit more. I'm going to change the colour and contrast, and let's have a look one more time. We can see that things are definitely changed. We can see this hole, which is very, very strange to say the least. We can see our sun and sun simulator in the background. Sun simulator, you say, Nige? You're definitely on drugs. There we can see what appears to be the planet in the background with the massive big crater. And hey presto, arrow appears. We can see the craters up here. What's very, very important is the lens flare, which you can see just there. This actually proves that this object is there. If you look very carefully, you can see that this lens flare is actually eclipsed. And don't forget, what a lens flare is a representation of a light source, the light source being our sun and sun simulator. Yes, our sun's still there in the sky, but there's also a sun simulator. It doesn't produce heat, it just produces light. So when something eclipses our sun, the sky doesn't dim. There's also a lens system that's in play, and 99% of the time when something eclipses our sun, we get to see a sun halo. This lens flare actually does prove that something eclipsed our sun because the lens flare itself was eclipsed. If we got things in our sky that shouldn't be there, we should see some sort of correlation on the Earth, and we could see that the first thing that would actually happen is our poles would start shifting. The second thing that would happen, our weather patterns would change and become more intense. And also we would see an uptick in earthquakes and also volcanoes, quite rare ones that haven't erupted for quite some time. And guess what? That's exactly what's going on. Let me show you what I found. We're at the Two Preachers channel, and I'll leave the links to their channel in the description box down below. Nice and simple for everybody to find. I highly recommend that you go over and have a look and see what's going on in our world. If you do enjoy their work, please subscribe. And if you do subscribe, please say hello from me. They do a great job in showing and documenting what's going on in our world, and there is some very crazy stuff. Let me show you what I found between the 8th and the 10th of December. On the 8th of December in Russia, the temperature dipped to -61. Global climate change, you could say. And global climate change is a real thing. No ifs, no buts. The reasons why we're being told it's happening, well, that in itself is a lie. On the 9th of December, we can see there's a very strange sunrise or sunset, and you've got to ask yourself what is causing this, because that in itself is not a normal thing to see. On the 8th of December, we can see a sun halo. It's extremely complex. This just proves to me that there's a lens system in the sky hiding things. Now, many people say what we're looking at is made of ice crystals. Now, I put this to you. If that was the case, throughout history we would see many, many photographs of this occurring, and we don't. It only started approximately 10 years ago around our sun, and then we got to see this exact same thing happen around our moon. This just proves to me there's a lens system in the sky that's extremely complex, hiding the eclipsing of our sun, so we don't get to see anything at all. On the 10th of December, we can see these strange cloud formations that have been associated with the planet's flyby. Jeff P's actually caught this and done some amazing work. I'll leave the links to his channel in the description box down below. Nice and simple for everybody to find. Also, another person that's been doing work on this would be Dave Dobbs, and links below. It's just really a normal thing to see in the sky, and nobody really takes any notice. Now let me direct you over to Will Bradford's channel. Christ is coming soon. He's done some amazing work, shown some amazing things, and in the last 3 years hasn't made any videos. But something happened on December the 15th and 16th. He saw something that was so important he needed to post a video. I'll leave the links to his channel in the description box down below. Nice and simple for everybody to find. If you do like his work, please subscribe. Now let me show you why I think these videos are so important. The footage we're just about to look at is from a webcam that's in Washington, and you can see the Washington Monument on the left hand side. The footage we're going to be looking at is from the 15th of December, and we're going to be watching it in real time. As you can see, there's a box on the right hand side, and both bits of footage are totally identical. The only difference is in this box we're using a filter called Equalize. It does nothing more than bring the colour, contrast, brightness and saturation up to the same point. So it brings out a lot more definition, because in the original bit of footage here with no equalization, we can see it's extremely hard to see this object up here. But down here it is extremely visible. A red object and a white object. The white object, I do believe, is what we witnessed in John Boy's video on the 10th of December. I'm sure that many people are going to say what we're looking at is our moon, and that is a lens flare, Nige. Well, what I've got to say to you, our moon does not move that fast and in that direction. That is moving from west to east, not east to west. Just exactly the same as in John Boy's footage on the 10th of December, this object is moving in the opposite direction. Another question that really does need to be asked, if you were standing there at that moment in time looking up at the sky, would you have actually seen anything? And the answer to that is, I really can't answer that question because I was not there. The reason we get to see so much is because we're using a digital camera, a fixed camera, right time, right place, right angle, and hey presto, you actually capture something. Now somebody a quarter of a mile down the road might not actually get to see what we're looking at. But the aid of a digital camera, it brings in a lot more light, a lot more definition, and it gets to show a lot more than our human eyes can actually see. We might have actually noticed the white object and thought, well, that's our moon, and really not given it a second thought, unless you were standing there looking at the object and you realised it was going in the opposite direction, then you might take notice. But as I wasn't there, I really can't tell you if this was visible in the sky. So working on the pretense that we can't actually see this in the sky by standing there looking at it, how is it possible that we can see it on the camera? There is another way that they actually hide things in the sky, a very complex system of lenses, and I've shown this so many different times. They really don't want the cat out of the bag at this particular moment in time. There would be chaos, and that is exactly what's going on now. It is a distracted chaos. So what I mean about a complex system of lenses, I can show you. The Action Lab done a great demonstration, and I'll leave the links to his channel in the description box down below. Nice and simple for everybody to find. If you do enjoy science stuff, he's the man to go and subscribe to. Let's have a look at how this works. A system of full lenses that makes things disappear.
In order to get this to work, you can't just use one lens, but you have to use 4 lenses. And you just set them up according to this equation and their focal points. So this focal point is our invisibility point. But then as you keep going, in order for the background to not look distorted, you have to recorrect the light that you made diverge right there. But the problem is that the image is now flipped 180 degrees. Okay, so watch as I dangle something in front of the lens, how it just disappears.
That's basically how the lens system in the sky works. It's a little bit more technical than that, but you get the general idea, and there's a lot more to that video. If you want to watch the rest of it, links below. So now we've actually seen the demonstration from the Action Lab, and we actually do know that full lenses makes things disappear. Let's conclude this. How does it actually help us to actually get to see things that shouldn't be there in the sky? I do believe that the guy that designed this system to hide the objects knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted the world to know. He knew that if you introduced a 5th lens on a digital camera, and that in turn turns the lens system in the sky into a great big telescope, and we get to see things we really shouldn't. And really, without the aid of that digital camera, we wouldn't get to see anything at all. And that's how I believe it all goes together. It makes perfect sense. Well, for me anyway. Back with the video. Now you've been watching this video, you will notice that these two objects, especially the white one, well, I'm going to call it a white one, it looks very brown now, and the red one is slowly disappearing, but the white one, you can clearly see it seems to be being eclipsed. And is that being eclipsed by the other planet, or is it being eclipsed by our Earth? That just proves that this object is there in the sky. What we've got to understand is our governments would never tell us that there is something there, because the end result would be absolute chaos. If you remember, in the last distraction, the world went absolutely crazy when they said the word pandemic. People were fighting over food and toilet roll. So can you imagine when they say, oh, there's something in the sky that really shouldn't be there, and it's going to cause a bit of a problem. I do actually find it quite funny that we've gone from one distraction to another distraction, and this one is quite major, especially with the threats that have been made, and it's keeping everybody on edge. You are preoccupied with what is going on in the Eastern Bloc. Is there any correlation to what we've just seen and what we're just about to see on the 16th? If we go to the Two Preachers channel, yes there is, and I'll leave the links to that in the description box down below. And it's definitely things I would expect to see happen on our Earth if we had something in our skies that really shouldn't be there, and the effects that would occur. Like I said, links below for the video. Go watch it, it is quite interesting. And if you don't mind, after you've watched this video, can you pop over to Christ is Coming Soon, Will Bradford's channel, have a look at the original videos and see what his take and what he has to say about what he's seeing on camera. If you enjoy his work, please subscribe, and also please like those videos. It is very, very important. We're watching a video from the 16th of December, and we can see the objects, planets, lens flares, whatever you like to call them. It makes no difference. They are definitely 100% there. They couldn't possibly be planets. They got to be lens flares. We can see they're being eclipsed, but something else is occurring. They're coming from east to west, not west to east, like we saw in the video the day before. Many people would be sitting there asking themselves, how is it at all possible they're going from east to west instead of west to east? They're going retrograde. The best way to actually describe retrograde is speed. Now, if we're looking through a lens system, which I do believe we are, the objects would appear to be approximately the same size, but as they're moving away from the Earth, they would slow down and we would actually overtake them, and they would appear to go in the opposite direction. For me, that actually does make a lot of sense. And don't forget, these objects are up there in the sky. They're not as close as we actually do think, but they're close enough to cause us a problem. The reason they look so close is because they're being viewed through a lens system. And what we need to remember is they're not tied to our star, they're tied to its star. And there happens to be a number of planets that come past quite regularly and do cause a lot of problems. But of course it's all down to global climate change. Nothing more, nothing less, because you're burning your dinners and cows are fighting in the field, and yeah, global climate change is definitely 100% real. What we've got to remember is just one thing. If it was just tied to the Earth, you could argue that fact, and it's not, because every planet in the solar system seems to be increasing in heat, and many things are going on in our solar system that don't make any sense unless you've got something there shouldn't be. I'm just saying. If you've actually made it this far, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. It is really appreciated. I'd like to give a great big shout out to all my subscribers. Thank you so much. And if you're not subscribed, please think about hitting that subscribe button and also hitting that notification bell, so when I do release a video, you'll be the first to know. I'd like to also apologise for the amount of time it's taken me to make this video. There's been a few issues. Well, my wife says I've got many issues, but that's got nothing to do with the video at all. Also, if you don't mind hitting that like button, leaving a comment and sharing my video. Share it with your next door neighbour, your auntie, your uncle, the cat, the dog, and that cow that's farting in the field. It would be really appreciated. That's all I've got for you now. Much love, much peace, and I'll catch you next time. There are more videos coming. Now I've got things sorted. Well, I hope so anyway. Take care.